Mr. G, the most wanted man in Johannesburg at the moment.
Yes, that sounds. That's a cool title.
It's quite funny, like how, because it's so quiet for so long with the break from December to March.
Yeah.
And then obviously January, everyone wants to be in the fight game. So you're getting hit up left, right, and centre.
Yeah.
Look, get me in there.
It's funny. Admittedly, that's my fault. I need to be more active on social and keep people interested and keep them tied into what's happening. Because it's not like the business in theory shuts down. There's so much activity.
Yeah.
Athletes are constantly communicating, constantly wanting. So actually, we need to put more content out there. That's a big drive for this year. So we're trying to get our team to just really push cool content.
So there's a couple of things I wanted to chat to you about. We're sitting down with the originated. We were chatting about the difficulties in matchmaking in the EFC climate, and wondering how that all pans out. So, firstly, how difficult was 2019 from your side with regards to matchmaking with like tight lines and stuff like that? I think a lot of the time the fights were under scrutiny. We sat back and looked, the EFC is not hiding the fact that there's a financial crunch, and obviously the whole business has to adopt around. So how hard is it from your side with regards to putting fights together?
So what? Let me explain what happened. First of all, we went into 2019 with an expansion plan to go across Africa, and we wanted to give our content out to as many terrestrials basically like a SABC of Africa. So we wanted to go into Nigeria and give it to the terrestrial channel there, and into Congo, into Angola, wherever we could get EFC content, we wanted to be there and really make a go, because we needed to boost those numbers where our athletes were being seen and our product was being seen, so that sponsors could go, wow, this got hundreds of millions of views. And the only way to do that is to own Africa on a broadcast level. So we did that, and we went in. It meant that we weren't going to be generating financially from those broadcast deals. So it was an expansion plan that we took a gamble with, and we, on top of that, launched the reality TV, the second season of the reality TV show, which is huge money to do, because you've got to get film crews in. It's not just a normal broadcast like EFC. It's reality TV guys are much more expensive. You've got to pay for 9 contestants to fly over here, house them, the whole shebang. So it was really expensive. And then we were expecting to be paid by Kwese, who were our main broadcaster at that time, and then they liquidated. So all the money we were expecting to use from Kwese to fund EFC through 2019 didn't exist. All of a sudden there was a 10 million rand hole that we needed to dig ourselves out of, and we didn't run away from the problem. We approached our fans, we approached our athletes, the most important people who are going to suffer the most effectively, and we said, guys, we can't afford to pay you what you're going to get paid. Take a knee for a period, and then what we can do is when we start generating again in the new year 2020, we can start reshaping your purses. Same with sponsors and everybody who was plugged into EFC. We told them, this is our financial situation, it sucks, but we've also been screwed, and not intentionally. Kwese didn't liquidate it, intentionally do it. It happened. They tried to run a business and it failed, and we were left in the wake. So under all of that, knowing our financial situation and having to go to athletes and go, guys, we're still around, we're still a mega brand, we're across Africa now, that's the main deal. By the end of 2019, we were like 20 million people watched EFC in South Africa alone. So hundreds of millions watched across Africa, and that in itself is a huge deal. And that's what we leveraged against athletes to say, guys, at least we have this. We're a big product. Be a part of it. And it was a lot of negotiation, but at the end of the day, I think guys are loyal to the brand because they understand that it really has the best interest at heart. We're not just trying to screw them, we're trying to go, let's build together. And guys like Temba were like complicit in it, understood it, they helped us push. We also took a big risk by doing the Drickus du Plessis and Brendan Lazar fight. Lots of money in that fight. And it was a hard climate. But I say this, imagine imagine our coffers were full. Like if we did 2019 the way we did, and it was huge. I mean, we had a big year, right? Imagine we had the, money in the coffers. Different story. So we've got a fantastic product. We've got a fantastic team. We've got awesome fighters. They just need to be paid more. we just need to generate more cash.
This
for
is
them.
while we're here. We went on a little discovery mission. We had a little look through the big organizations, entry level payments and stuff like that, and try and correlate it towards the South African market. And it's quite a funny thing. I think across the board, all over the world, fighters will always say that they're never getting paid much, and I think most of us can agree. But to put into perspective, Bellator, which is by rights the second biggest promotion in the world, had guys that fought on the Chris Harborg fight that entered on a prelim card earning $1,200. You know what I mean?
We were paying more than that. So,
you know what I mean? So it's like,
sure.
just to put it in perspective, like it's not a payment for athletes is always going to be a thing, but it's not like it happens all over. There's weird things. It's a tough business to generate income. I mean, as we know. But anyway, moving on. How different has the start to 2020 be? Can we expect anything different from the EFC side?
Well, the plan is to go back to Cape Town. That's something we do want to do. We are so close to some deals that are just going to help everybody in the long run. And that's a financial thing. That's, you know, money makes this thing work, and without it we go nowhere. But from a broadcast perspective, I think that's where people really get like their real grit out of EFC is we are going to be the biggest brand in Africa in sport by the end of this year, hands down. And people say, oh, rubbish, soccer's huge. Soccer's a sport. We're a brand. EFC's a brand. MMA is the sport. As a brand, EFC will be everywhere. And, you know, we'll be in Congo. So our Congolese fighters will be seen in Congo. We're in Nigeria, so Nigerian fighters, not that we have. We haven't had many in a while, but Angola, we'll be in Angola. We are in Angola. So that is going to be so amazing by the end of 2020 to look back at that and go, okay, you know, we've really captured Africa. And that's where a lot of other brands, you know, the States, UFC doesn't have the whole continent. You know, there's very few promotions that hold an entire continent. And that's a lot of weight. And that means that our athletes are going to be really sought after. They are sought after already. And maybe we're on that precipice of Africa being the Brazil has. Everybody wanted a Brazilian fighter. Then the whole UFC was saturated with Brazilians. I can tell you something now. Big black dudes, big Congolese dudes, big Senegalese guys are going to captivate people because they are they're warriors at heart. You know what I mean? You want to see
genetics.
It's genetics, it's fierce, it's awesome.
So there's a two-part question in there. Are you, in terms of matchmaking, in terms of the business, focusing more on African talent as opposed to bringing out Europeans? And will we see a lot more internationals, I'm talking about off the African continent, in the EFC in 2020?
The first meeting I had with the team was, we are knuckling down African athletes. We're helping them grow. We're doing whatever we can. We owe it to them. They owe it to themselves to invest in the business and invest their time in their careers and grow with EFC, because, you know, like, we can't be the biggest promotion on the continent and be focused in on Europeans. It just does not make sense. And I'm not saying that, like, anybody under our banner currently, the Joe Cummins, that's great. I will always focus on them. They're our champions. We will bring out athletes, but we need to take a serious foothold on growing Temba Garimbo in Zimbabwe and go, cool, Temba, you're the guy, let's go. And you just won Zimbabwe Sportsman of the Year. That's a huge accolade. I mean, he would, 5 years ago, that wouldn't even be in consideration. He'd be a soccer player. So MMA is hot. It's an awesome sport. Our athletes are phenomenal. And I think that's also something we forget is, in some sports, your country might not do well. You know? Congo, I don't know if they've got a soccer team. I haven't seen a DRC soccer team. I haven't seen a DRC tennis player. But let me tell you what they got. They got fighters. 40% of my rosters, we know that they produce fighters. So let's push that, you know. Let's take that. America's only, leaps and bounds ahead of us because they've had time.
Yeah.
Wait till we catch up. Like, our boys are going to be amazing, and our girls are going to be amazing.
You put out a tweet about, and this is one of the fights where a lot of people have had a lot to say. Joe Cummins versus Eleni Lunga, or Joe Cummins in a title defense. I remember at the press conference, Joe Cummins had something to say about Temba Garimbo when he won the title. How close are we to seeing a lightweight title bout in 2020?
So I'll give you what happened there, and this is the first time I've commented on it. You had Joe Cummins accepted the fight, okay?
With Eleni Lunga.
With Eleni Lunga. Eleni Lunga accepted the fight. The financial side of it was where myself and Joe, he wanted certain things, criteria to be met that I had promised him before he fought the title. I said to him, this is the story, you're going to get paid X amount. We're not too far from that. Plus bring out these people, the whole story. We literally sat down and couldn't come to terms on the financial side. And I said, Joe, you know what the reality is? You're going to fight Eleni. I'm not going to push you to fight him because we haven't got the finances to get you in. I'd rather wait till we are generating. We haven't actually done an event in the first three months of the year. So once we can commit to a purse for him, he's in. And he was gutted that I told him that, and that, like, listen, this is the reality is we're not going to come to terms on what you want versus what I can actually pay you. And Elaine's sitting there going, for fuck's sakes, I'm like I'm on a 6-fight winning streak. So I said to Elaine, look, I can't do an interim fight because that's not fair. If Joe was injured, yeah, great, no problem. But doing an interim fight because we couldn't come to financial terms is it's just the way it is. We just got to take a knee on it and wait for us to have the opportunity, and we are going to see it. I'm hoping to do it. April in Cape Town won't work. May back in Pretoria would be phenomenal. If Elaine can wait till then, we'll be able to do it. I just can't do two title fights on one fight card. We're paying Temba a packet of cash. He's the defending champion. I want to do the same for Joe, and we promised our champs that they'd get their champ money, and I want to pay Joe that champ money. So we'll get him in May.
So going forward for 2020, obviously with
and by the way, I know Joe phoned me. He was pissed off. He was like, "Fuck this guy! I'll fucking kill him!" No. I said, you better clear it up. You better tell them that you and I, like, we couldn't come to terms. I want to fight him. I want to fight him. I said, Joe, I know you want to fight him. Like, just chill. I'm not going to comment on it because nobody's going to get this perspective on a tweet.
Sure.
So let me explain it to people in this sort of format, and now you understand. Like, it's going to happen.
Finances are on their way.
It's all money related.
With that in mind, is that how you have to balance a card? Obviously, you said a while ago to me, in fact, that the champions are still getting what's due to them.
Yeah.
So is that how you're building a card at the moment? Which title fights will be on that card, and then build beyond that?
Absolutely. Like, it makes sense to do Gideon Drotsky and Simon Bion in April in Cape Town. Ishard WhatsApped me. He's like, I want to fight. I said, cool. Maybe you and Faiz later down the line. I don't want to stack them up. The champs, these guys have worked their asses off. I'm not saying other athletes haven't worked their asses off, but the reason you're a champion is you get that champ money and you sit there and you go, fuck, I love fighting for these guys because they get paid well, and that's the deal. That's the deal. So if anything, I'm pushing the finances to them, making sure they get it. And if I have two title fights on a card, it just makes it really uncomfortable. It's not that I can't do it. It just makes it uncomfortable. We have a budget to live by.
Yeah.
So it makes it uncomfortable for the rest of the freedom cards because then I'm squeezing guys for less money, and I don't want to do that. I'd rather make it comfortable and go, okay, cool. We each get our fights, we get our cash, we're cool. There's nobody trying to burn down the EFC Performance Institute.
What would you say to cutting events and cards? Like, I understand from a legitimacy point of view, you want to have 10 events with 12, 13, 14 fights.
Yeah.
We've been suggesting 8 events, 10 fights on a card, which is going to be a little bit more budget friendly. Maybe pack a little bit more impact on the cards. Would you guys consider stuff like that?
We have. We did it last year. We cancelled events. 10 years we've sucked just thrown money into this business, thrown money into MMA, made sure the guys got paid really well, built them up. The guys are in UFC now, for God's sake. It's like we've done the impossible. There was nothing before us, right? And when it comes down to certain standards we've set ourselves as promoters, one of them is have 10 events a year. You know, make sure we can stack the cards up with many good fights to build them. And that then bodes with one other major factor that is almost binding for us. Broadcasters expect 10 events.
Sure.
You go in there going, we're going to do 10 events a year. They go, all right, sign this document, 10 events a year. Cool. So we're bound by that in many ways. And also episodes. When we create episodes for TV, you've got to have fights. So you don't want to see an episode with guys just walking down the ramp for 5 minutes because we've got to fill that space. I want action. I want to deliver action to people so they're like, oh, this is a cool product. So it's both something that it might happen in the worst case scenario, but for me, if I can keep that alive and just we've kept it going. I mean, there's been 10 years of us like at the highest level producing UFC quality content, you know, amazing fighters, building fighters, 12 fights, 10 events. Last year was our only year. And it's so weird because I now am in the space that athletes are in. You're only judged by your last fight. We're only judged by our last event, our last year. We're like, okay, guys, take a break. We've been on top of this thing for now our 11th year. So don't worry, we got this.
Everything's under control.
We're not going anywhere. We're rocking.
Cool. I just want to get a little bit more grit into the fights. First question, flyweights. A lot of uncertainty. Jake Hadley's signed with Cage Warriors. Yes. A lot of flyweights trying to figure out. We haven't seen much action with the flyweights. Is the flyweight division still a reality? Are we still going to see flyweights contending this year?
So it's still a reality. There's guys in there, not exciting guys, unfortunately. The only exciting guy I've got in there is Nkazimolo Zulu, and I still think he's really legit. Fafa is running wins. Not really excited to watch Fafa. He's a grinder. You know, we're not Bellator. We don't work on a ranking system. You know, we work on like who the fuck do you want to pay to watch. Yeah. You know, so in that I just can't see myself unless he just smokes somebody amazing watching him. So I've got to grow that division. Jake, what happened with Jake is he said, gee, there's no one really for me to fight in flyweight. Cage Warriors offered me opponents. We want to try and do it. I said, I'd love to keep you. So if an opportunity arises here in Africa, you can still come and contend here. And he said, cool, he's happy to do that. And then it was taking long for me to get an opponent. So he said, listen, can I commit to a Cage Warrior Holy? I said, go for it, buddy. So then, miss you, you're awesome, thank you, blah, 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 see you soon. Then WhatsApp me, I want to fight. I said, but you going to leave or you want to stay? He's like, no, I want to fight. I was like, okay, cool, let me get on it. So I thought, let me do him and Faiz Jacobs. Now that makes sense in Cape Town.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that role. And I went through the motions and I was just waiting for sponsorship to pick up so I could commit to the Cape Town card wholeheartedly and go, this is our first fight. And it just took too long to match the fight.
Sure.
So I left it and I said, okay, Jake, you know, and he was like, gee, I'm going to go to Cage Warriors. I said, no problem. So he's not there, but we're going to build that division. Remember something, we built Jake in one fight.
Yeah.
You know, like, we didn't like build him but he had one fight with us, and now he's in Cage Warriors.
Yeah.
Like, all he needed to do was fight a top guy.
Gateway to the UFC.
Exactly. So, I'm really confident we'll grow that again. I'm just waiting for somebody to stand out and for us to go, okay.
You talk about growing divisions. Looking through the divisions, there's a lot of divisions that are quite thin. So,
light heavyweights.
Yeah.
Who else? Light heavyweights is probably the only... heavyweights, there's guys there, but they've all fought each other.
Yeah.
And it's taking so long to recharge that. What I'm hoping to do is, sorry, I'll interject here, but like bring in a. We want to get some good sponsors going for the new reality TV show, TF3.
That was going to be the next question.
I want to do a full-blown 10 African heavyweights, Congo, Senegal, Nigeria, like just big dudes over, like super awesome, and get them going.
So I wanted to ask you about TF3. In the past with the fighter series, you brought out a lot of awesome athletes, I mean, especially TF2, I think the talent on display was immense.
Amazing,
The ladies were brilliant. But the retention of those athletes never seems to happen. One or two kind of have another fight. Obviously, we understand the logistics, the cost of logistics to bring the people out. Having an African-based, not to say that flying people from the Congo is much cheaper, but having an African-based series, will we see, if we say heavyweights, the winner gets a contract with the EFC, maybe 2, 3, 4 of them get picked up. Is that what we're going to start to see from the fighter? Start to look at divisions. Okay, we need new heavyweights. Let's get fighter season 3 heavyweights. Next year maybe welterweights or whatever the case may be.
I think what happened is it won't happen again. I'm hoping it won't happen again. But the girls stayed active under EFC's banner, and there was many fights I wanted to do. I wanted to do Alice Ardelin and Carolina Wojcik. I wanted to do a lot of fights, but how it kind of played out last year is that because bringing them out, we also needed to just evaluate how much traction we get around it. You know, I just wasn't confident that the fan base in South Africa would be, you know, buying into a Carolina versus Alice Ardelin. You know, it's, you know, British girl versus a Polish girl. Unfortunately, and we can say what we want, but until you kind of blow through that barrier, you're always seen from where you come from. You're always, you know, that's where your real value is. Conor McGregor, you know, they know he'll headline in Ireland. They know that is like, if you want to sell out a crowd and make loads of money and do an amazing gate and everybody's galvanized and interested, you go to that guy's hometown. So for that was a consideration. That's why it didn't quite pan out. But I've got a huge roster. So I've got a small roster of South African ladies, tiny, lots of Europeans. So I couldn't really match all of them with that small roster. Whereas here, I got Ricky Mish. I've got so many fighters here. Elvis Moyo, even though they're from different countries, but we could literally match all the African guys and retain those heavyweights and build them forward.
Sure.
You know, I suffered with the middleweights like that as well. Although we brought out the TF1 guys again. Brought a lot of them.
The
guys we wanted
that
to
came out from there. What happens with Jared van der Rohe? That's another one. I mean, Jake Hadley, we know he signed. Jared van der Rohe, look, I know what a flight costs from America to come out here, add in a corner man, try and build a fight that's exciting.
I said, the title fights weren't really a problem because we focused the money on those guys. It's kind of like just having that kind of whimsical, throw 2 title fights on there, it's okay, you know. And every champion wants to fight.
Sure.
So, you know, you've got 9 divisions, you've got 10 events. You know, it's you're gonna have some doubling up, you know, because then guys want fighting once a year and they don't want to do that. So Jared van der Rohe, I reckon that the best fight for him was Stuart Austin. And I pitched it to Austin and he hands down refused it. And he wanted to fight Ruan Potts first. And I didn't want to see Potts versus anyone at that stage. I was like, I just didn't want to see it happen again. You know what I mean? I just thought that, like, why recycle yourself back in there? It's just a waste of time and money and effort for all of us. It's not the biggest promoted fight. Let's see the fight people want to see. And that, I was willing to take a gamble. England versus America, and freaking awesome, because we know heavyweights are kind of a breed on their own. They sell on their own. They have 2 big dudes rolling. It's great. And he turned it down, and then they kind of took the gas off the heavyweight division. Ricky lost. Was trying to build him up. Vesemostap was focusing on his business, but he was running a win. And I really wanted to try and get that division going again now this year by getting Vessel back in the mix, by getting Elvis Moyo back in the mix, by getting Ricky back in the mix, Jakasa Matunga, but he just lost at that other promotion up in the thing, so pretty crappy for him. Tabani and Ndebele, and I think Tabani was trained with him. Anyway, I just need to communicate with them, get them going again. Tabani's a guy I think we can grow quite aggressively. I actually wanted to work him at light heavyweight, but heavyweight's probably better.
Please go light heavyweight.
I think he's so good at light heavyweight.
He might be a bit bigger now, but I think in his last fight he weighed in like 103 kilos. Like,
no,
he's right there,
he's
like
lean,
on the
he's
door.
mean, he was badass at light heavyweight. I remember that fight.
You're speaking about like heavyweights and stuff. One of the things we were talking about on the podcast, what we want to put forward to kind of get a better understanding. How does your matchmaking process work? You've said to me before there's fighters that want to fight and fighters that kind of like
Yeah.
on the brink. So you've got a pool. How do you work that out? I mean, obviously, like now you're getting blown up left, right, and centre
Yeah.
at EFC, ready to get back in there. Guys want to return Iga Cabeza. You mentioned Urshad Syed. Guys like Ruan Pot saying he's going to be active in 2020. So the reality is with a lot of these guys, I've got to fight for you. Like, can't do that day or can't do that month. Just give us a little overview of how that process works for you. Dealing with, obviously, we know fighters are difficult. We know the game is difficult, so just talk us through how that all works.
Wow, this is kind of why I could lots of people fire Graeme, fuck him, get rid of him, and it's like number one, I can't be fired because I'm a partner in the business. Well, maybe I can, but I mean whatever. I mean I can definitely be fired, sure. The reason I'm going this way around answering the question is it's not about what you do, it's about what you know. And it's so lame to say that, but it's like, I know when a fighter is just taking a fight for a payday.
Yeah.
I know it in his demeanor. I've dealt with him for 10 years. I know how he speaks to me, what's happening. Guys will blow up, guys. And you kind of, you're following your social media accounts, and most people matchmake by looking at a board and go, or our website going, that guy must fight that guy. That guy's not been active for 3 years.
Yeah.
I haven't spoken to this guy. This guy, last time he took a fight, he took a nut shot, and he didn't need 5 minutes for it. And I don't know if I want to see him in the cage again because, it was disgraceful.
Yeah.
There's many many moving parts, and I think it's literally like Temba came in the other day and he was shouting at me. He was like, I blue tick him a lot. So I turned that thing off on my WhatsApp because I get thousands of
ghosting,
WhatsApps.
as the kids would say.
Yeah, it's the worst. So he comes in, he's shouting at me. I'm like, what's your story? He's like, I hate it when you do that. It's very disrespectful. I said, Temba, when I need life advice, I'll phone you. He said, no, but and I understand what he means. Yes, it is disrespectful, but my thing is I can only speak to athletes when I have something to say to them. Because if I engage somebody, Tommy Strader, hey Tommy, how's the boss? It's a it's like a full conversation. We're going on for 20 threads, when all I need to know is, are you available, and are you healthy, and are you training? And how I match now is, I want specific fights. I try and go for those fights. And let's use an example of Neil Duplessis and Stefan Pretorius. I wanted that fight from the beginning. I thought it's a cool fight. They train together. There's something there. It just seems you can vision being a cool fight to watch. And you phone Neil and he's like, cool, I've got to see if I've got court on that day. Okay, hold on, Steph. Now, if Neil pulled out, I'll probably go to Steph, listen, let's leave it.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to just make fights, pull them apart, and then shove them two together.
Else, yeah.
I want to try and find fights that are worth it, unless I'm building the fighter.
So glad you said that. Because what I wanted to ask you is, what fights do you have in your mind that you, not that are set in stone, that you're going to try and make this year, that excite you, that you really think are going to be really set 2020 apart?
I think Iga Cabeza and Exum, that Iga Cabeza Exum is a fight I really want to see. I think that'll blow the featherweight division apart. It'll be freaking awesome. I do want to see Faiz Jacobs and Urshad Syed. I'll have to try and make that fight happen. I wanted to do Jake Hadley and Faiz. Not going to happen now, but that's fine. The Gordon Rudman, Luke Michael, Justin Smith fight. I want to see Justin, and it's just two young dudes really having it out, which I think will be really cool. I do want to see a rematch between Brendan Lazar and Gareth McClellan. Gareth asked me for it. I said it's actually not up to me. At this stage in the game, when you Brendan and Gareth and Drickus, I'm going to them going, hey, come on guys, let's see how we can make this work. I'm not telling people what to do. Brendan wasn't adverse to it. He had a bit of a tiff with me here. We had a little bit of a story, but I think he's okay with the fight. And in all honesty, he should accept a fight like that, because there's no loss for him. You know what I mean? He goes up against a legend. Who else is he going to fight in the division right now? I think that's a cracker fight.
Yeah, and I think like confidence-wise, to rematch somebody that you've knocked out, you know, you're going to go in there quite confident, and if you can do it twice, you know, like I feel sorry for Brendan as well, because a lot of people are like that one lucky punch. You know what I mean? Like,
no, if you know Brendan, you know he's an athlete.
Yeah.
He might be an unorthodox athlete, but he's very much an athlete when you
100%.
define him. I mean, he's super fit, he's strong, he's dedicated. Just hasn't had the experience. That's it. And he admits it. Even he said, "Gee, like he was like a deer in the headlights. It catches up to you.
Yeah.
The millions of people, the thousands in the stadium. You know, I can't tell you guys that's a whole nother fucking skill set.
Sure.
That's like possessing a submission move no one has ever seen, and you can pull off any time. If you can accomplish the crowd, Don Madge does it really well, but he honed that skill in EFC.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The kid, but he was almost like very natural at it. He got it straight away. Fuck, you know, I'm into this.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get it. So I want to see Brendan and Gareth go at it. I know Druk has called out Simon Biong. I wasn't super excited about that, but I thought that'd be quite an interesting fight. Biong and Drotsky, I'd love to see. I'd love to see Zulu Boy just back in action.
Yeah.
You know, if not, Lutanda Vico is going to fight here this year. There's him at bantamweight or at flyweight to really pick up pieces from Hadley moving out.
Tano Biko versus Zulu is a great fight. Flyweight.
Yeah, I think it's a hard fight for Zulu with the wrestling side, but still, I mean, it could be cool. Maybe Lutanda gets a title fight over in Pancrase, sorry. So, man, there's so many on the tip of my tongue that I'm just completely. I want to get Popanga Tresor back in action.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just like not
sitting on the.
He's sitting waiting.
This is another thing we spoke about was, and we were reflecting.
And I didn't delve into the fighter story with the matching fights because so beyond it now. Like, I'm sorry, guys. Like,
no problem.
Fighters don't accept fights all the time. They're not ready. They're not always primed.
That's exactly what we want to do. Trying to get it from your mouth that it's not. And I mean, we are critical at times, and you're like, oh, but why isn't this fight being made, or why isn't that fight being made? Why is this person on the sideline? And there's three sides to that story always. I mean, your side, their side, and the truth. It's easy for us to sit and say, yeah, but Graeme missed a trick here, or Graeme should have done this, Graeme should have done that. We don't know the whole backside of what's really going on.
Even in school, like when you want to roll somebody, you gotta do it behind the bicycle shed at this time because the teacher's not there, and maybe the guy's mom's picking him up early. You never know. Sorry, I missed that, but I'll get you next week. Like athletes are exactly the same thing, but imagine so many layers of they've got families, they've got jobs. I mean, I think 99% of our roster works, which is totally admirable because that's just that's every sport. Soccer, a lot of guys don't do it full time, even though they're getting paid. Rugby, it's life. You have to work in order to do it. You can't just do this full time, and there's many moving parts. And whether we want to see that fight, like there's lots of guys that blow my phone up. I don't want to see fight.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, you need to take a break. Like Dino Bagatine's asking for a retirement fight now. I personally, I don't want to see him right now because I think his last fight was shit because not from his side, but because of what happened. It was horrible. He got like lumbered.
Yeah.
And he was robbed of an exit fight. It's like Cedric Doyle. I met with him the other day. Him and Jimmy came in here. Cedric was begging me. He says, Graeme, I'm 100%. The neuro's cleared me. It's cleared me. I said, brother, I have the most anxiety even talking to you because I think about you and Trezeguet Kanyinda. You caught a shot in the back of the head. I mean, that guy went for brain surgery. I'm sitting in the hospital looking at him, freaking big scar on the side of his head. He's a phenomenal athlete. And yes, he's probably in the prime of his life and will fuck guys up all day and could be a champion, but not in my promotion.
Yeah, that makes...
You know what I mean?
So Tupac made me
there's so
very
many layers, and guys, like we're sitting here going, I want to see the best fighters, try and make them happen, and we try, But it's not always easy. I don't want to throw an athlete under the bus.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to make our athletes look like shit because they didn't take a fight because something was going on in their life. And who are we to kind of persecute them? Let them do their thing. You know, we're trying to make it work. It's a fine, narrow corridor. We're all trying to fit them down, and we're doing our best. And if you look at our track record, it's been a really good track record. We've put the fights on. Like if there's a fight that's that we missed, it's maybe a handful.
Sure.
It's a handful out of the ones that we delivered, and we're fucking crackers. And everyone went, okay, you guys, no, you did a good job.
We were having quite a laugh at how, like, it's funny when, you know, like the old expression, when it rains it pours, and it just seemed the welterweight tournament last year was,
Yes.
was just one of those things. Like a brilliant fucking idea. We were so sold into it, like, this is so great, this is such a good way to make a contender.
You guys excited. Timber wasn't.
Yeah, well,
He still believes.
But how different would it have been if you had Timber as a champion now and the welterweight prospects as it is to run that again? Well, I say again, but how much better it would have been in
Justin
hindsight
Smith
to do it.
and like recycling all the guys. Like, look, it would really be awesome. And then there was guys we wanted to include. Like I wanted to include Elaine in that, but he was also a lightweight, and there were certain people he wouldn't fight because Luke Michael was in that camp. Then when you first proposed the thing, so he wouldn't fight. There was like roadblocks, and we kept people out. But that was an exciting tournament, and the curse of the welterweight has persisted. I remember David Bursky really highlighted that for me because he was never supposed to win, and then he won, and I was like, oh my god, this is really happening. Like David beat Adam Speechley, I believe. And I'm not saying he's not a good athlete. Like, he really showed how fucking good he was, and I respect him big time. I'm not downplaying him. It's awesome. But it was just really that moment where the guy who wasn't supposed to win completely obliterated. There's something really going on in this division, and I think it's because there's so many class guys there. Luke Michael is world class. He just needs to come into his own. He's still young. He's a baby, and this weight cut thing, changing camps, guys, like don't.
Have you ever seen the stats on the success rate for winning when changing a camp for a title fight?
No.
No one ever wins.
Really?
They never wins.
And it's not the camp that you go to.
Yeah, it's just a change.
It's your rhythm.
It's,
It's your. I can completely. It's like you're the best Formula One driver, and you switch cars. You're like, okay, I'm going to switch cars now. Just try this one out. It doesn't matter how good your skill is. So I see that welterweight division being still to this day the best division, and one I think will continue into the future because Temba's going to have a long, awesome time in that division. Because he's the guy that's going, bring me fucking guys.
Bring me
please.
contenders.
Lyle Karen, and he's also very picky. He's like, he's a picky dude. How many wins has he had? No, I want to see this roster. Let's see his last fight. It's good. So Karen's going to be a really cool entry in there for Garimbo, and whoever wins that fight, there's still prospects to shuffle forward. I would love Luke to get back in there. Justin Smith, I want to see that kid shine. This Punga Tressel could still make a go there. Lane Luke could come back in there if he wanted to.
Sean De Lange. If he's contactable on the farm.
Yeah, I got hold of him and I wanted him to take a fight now.
Did you send him a pigeon?
He's such an unbelievably cool dude. But yeah, also focusing on family and work now. So this is why I can't get him to fight. So that division's really heating up. I think featherweight's going to be really good this year for us. Middleweight's going to be kind of exciting. And we've just got to get the ball rolling. We need to get the first event out the gate. Light to Pretoria, like get a Menden crowd going, get people excited about, oh fuck, this is happening again. Awesome.
A lot of announcements coming out for EFC 84. Is there anything else that's still in the works? Anything exciting for the main card? Still to come.
I wanted to get a lane on the main card, to be honest with you, only because I owe him a fight, because this hasn't happened. So I'm just trying to see who's out there for Elaine Lunga. I think he's a hard guy to match as well. The younger guys coming in, or the newbies, Diego Bandu. I don't know if you've seen what he looks like.
He
fucking looks like somebody. He looks like a hectic dude. Tall, strong. Scorpion, I think they call him. I'm excited for him on this fight card. Cameron Simon, I'm trying to match on the fight card. Stefan De La Rey was going to be the card. I pulled him off. He's got an injury at the moment, unfortunately. So 84 is going to be. I need to use it as a shaping tool to get the rest of the year going. Where we're going to go. Okay, Cameron, we're investing in you. You know, for this year, go. And I think he's just accepted a fight. It's not the toughest fight, but I need to. I owe it to this guy to give him another fight. It's super. Matlopa at bantamweight, him and Cameron Simon. Let's see. I mean, still a young dude fighting a man. So it's an interesting kind of matchup. So there's going to be lots of stuff. I've got to announce and get them out there and get people really revved up. I know that we've been dragging our feet. But we're going to get it out there for you guys.
You've been a little bit tentative on Cape Town. So is there still an air of uncertainty there? And if not, what are the fights we're looking at?
Man, I put the Cape Town roster out there, put all the fights together, and I was like, fucking hell, the Cape Town card, and people haven't seen it in so long. It had been in a year. Cape Townians are going to lose their mind, and I love going there. It's such a cool show.
Cape Town is a cool show.
And then I spoke to Kai, and I said, listen, you know, where are we on sponsorship for this? He said, listen. So it's this fine line between just landing the sponsor that's going to make this happen, and also, not fucking with the fighters, because you are like hang on, I want to get into camp. Who am I fighting? So I'm in like a really shitty position at the moment, and I'm hoping we can clear that up in this week, and go, let's do this. Cool. So either way, there'll be a fight night around that time. It might be in Johannesburg though. Okay. So I'll have to bring up a half a card of Cape Townians. We'll still make something exciting for them, and they'll get their fight card. And we've got to lay down some seriously shit hot title fights this year. The Exons of the world. We've got to get that bantamweight. Faiz has got to defend. Yeah. He's a fucking exciting kid to watch. Middleweight. We've got to get Drickus to defend his title. I really want him back in action at Pretoria again this year, doing his thing. Welterweight, Temba Garumba is going to be super busy with all the guys. Light heavyweight, we've got Simon Biong going to fight Gideon Drotsky. We've got Zakir Badatu, I want to go. I think the kid's freaking hot. And then let's try and channel as much energy into working this heavyweight division out. And the females, a man is busting my balls to fight. And there's so many girls. I'd love to get her and Connie Holm to fight for the bantamweight title. I want to get Bunmi active and keep her going as a contender there. The only reason I don't want to match them is they're just I don't want them to pick each other off. Yeah. They are so talented. So I really want to give Bunmi maybe a challenge at featherweight. We can open up an opportunity for her to fight for a title at featherweight. I just thought of that now. Maybe we should do that. It's a fucking great idea. Not one of the guys though. Like, you guys want to see some weird matchups. But there is.
Let's give that for Henry.
There's actually featherweight. There's actually strong featherweight females out there that would be a cool one for her. But yeah, the division is strong. The promotion is strong. We just need to start the year.
Fantastic.
I'm strong.
See you on the something of March, 14th of March.
14th of March.
Fantastic.
It's almost 1 month away. Exactly 1 month
Lovely.
away. Thanks, Alistair. Appreciate it, man.
See the announcements coming soon. Stay tuned.